Okay, so we had played a black-green Magecraft deck. There's a build of it up on the website, in fact, that played Witherbloom Apprentice, Sedgemoor Witch, and it was playing Dragon's Guard Elite. And this is kind of like a variation of that, only it's got the good red cards in it. So we've got Young Pyromancer here that not a Magecraft card technically, but pays off from that. We've got Dreadhorde Arcanist here, which is a must-answer threat that flashes back our spells. We get to play Claim the Firstborn, that's very good against creature decks and exceptional against auras. And we've got Claim Fame here to allow us to rebuy some of our good 2-mana threats. Otherwise, we just got the pretty typical like Village Rites, Thoughtseize package. We can't play Duress because we're going up into Sedgemoor Witch, but we do get to play the Wellspring here as a companion still, so we still get that free extra card. So let's go ahead and dive on into some games with this. And while we're playing it here today, we're going to want to be thinking about, okay, is what this doing better than the green-black Magecraft deck? Is the green splash feeling worthwhile compared to just Rakdos, Arcanist, stuff like that? Oh, if you're having issues with Melee itself, Melee has a support server. So if you look on the MTG Melee site, you can find a link to their Discord support. Yeah, Bloodchief's Thirst versus Heartless Act is something that I thought about in the original submission. So this is, the core of this is a viewer submission. I added, they weren't playing the Wellspring, so I added that, and I fixed the mana base up a little bit. But yeah, I can see Bloodchief's Thirst being better than Heartless Act. It's definitely a little bit more flexible. Heartless Act is much better against things like Gruul, though. No, Yorion has been largely pushed out, Mellow. And it's not particularly popular in this format. Alright, Luris Tainted pack, eh? Can you fit Teamer Walkers in today, and how much would I need to pay? So, if you wanted to bump one of the decks out of today that's currently in the queue, it would be a $100 donation. Because I have other deck queue decks that have been added for 50. So I can fit it in today, but you'd have to double up the normal rate. I think we're leading on Witherbloom here. Whatever we're playing first is getting killed, so might as well be this. Are we playing the companion because it's free or slightly confused by it? Well, for someone who's confused, you seem to understand quite well why we're playing it. And then next turn, so they're probably going to go Shock Languish. We can claim the Pyromancer back. Hey, Mark, thanks for the tip. I was your mill opponent, wanted to stop by and say GG, thanks for the game. Hey, good luck on the rest of your laddering today. Yeah, I conceded if you didn't go back and watch the match because our Mopey control deck just had no chance there. Your mill build looks sweet though. Love non-land, please. Ooh, Village Rites is sweet. Huh. I think I'm just faming and smacking them for 4 here. Why not Kozilek after the Wishclaw tutors? Because they're not going to use the Wishclaw talisman to tutor until they're ready to use the card that they're getting with it, Silver Oak. If they're bad, they might tutor in advance, but especially against my deck having discard spells, they're not going to tutor in advance because they know I'll just get a discard spell to take whatever they tutor. I think I'm just supposed to draw Wellspring and pass here. No, let's put pressure on him. If they have to use Wish Claw to search up a sweeper here, that's good for us. Dreadhorde Arcanist, that's pretty good. That probably forces the issue, right? We could die here. If this is a Tainted pack or an Oracle, we lose the game. Hey, Slacker, thanks for the 35 months. Welcome back. Trusty Dusty, thank you for the 3/4 of a year. Is Luris better than Laturi in the Tainted pack combo? So, yes. So, the established Tainted pack decks have moved off of Laturi altogether. There's some question as to whether or not Luris is better than not playing a companion. But, for example, the reason why you don't want to play Laturi is because then you get to play 2 copies of Tainted pack. So this way, when your opponent plays a discard spell on the first one, you have a second one to go fetch up like this. So I think there is a very likely chance that our current opponent's archetype is the best deck in this format. And if you said, Jeff, what's a deck that you think probably needs to be banned? I would answer the opponent's archetype. I think there is a very good chance that when the opponent's archetype ends up being fully optimized, it's going to be much too good for this format. I'm gonna board out our spot removal. I mean, I was far from the only one working on the opponent's archetype. There have been a ton of great players working on it that have worked on it much more than I did. We played it like with Laturi at the very start, but is there good counterplay to the Tainted pack deck? There's not. If you don't have counter spells, you basically are at the mercy of their top decks. Killing the Oracle in response. No, it's much worse than Splinter Twin. Like, anybody comparing Tainted pack, like, okay, fine. I've called it Tainted Twin, but from an interactive standpoint, it's much worse. Splinter Twin is incredibly fair because, Splinter Twin's incredibly fair because you can kill it with a removal spell. The Tainted pack deck doesn't give a shit if you have a piece of removal. Yeah, you had things like Spellskite and other things like that. Splinter Twin, like, the fact that Splinter Twin is banned in Modern is just like it's just so incredibly embarrassing. Should not be banned in the slightest. This deck is much more comparable to Inverter from Pioneer, which was ultimately banned. Honestly, Thassa's Oracle is probably the card that shouldn't be legal, because that card's never going to end up doing anything honest ever. Card only does toxic bad things. It's just not a good design. No, it does not, Damascus. Because Thassa's Oracle's templating is bad and says greater than or equal to. So they deck themselves completely, so if they have 0 devotion to blue and 0 cards in their deck, they still win the game. I mean, last game we took the only meaningful card out of our opponent's hand and they immediately just, like, redrew their stuff. So, like, that's just how this deck works. That's why discard spells aren't very good in this matchup. They, like, feel okay to start, but ultimately they don't really do much. Your opponent just gets to peel on you. Honestly, it might have been wrong to play this. Probably supposed to draw this. The Damnation card back is very sweet, yeah. This archetype posted over 50. This archetype was the second most popular deck this weekend, and it posted a 52-ish% win rate, I believe. And this archetype is almost assuredly far from optimized. No, it wasn't. It wasn't 58. I'm pretty sure it was 52. Now you're gonna make me go look. But one event that had a really high win rate. Yeah, backed combo, 52.2%. You should check out my Meta Monday post from yesterday on YouTube, where I summarize the data from the events this week. And if you haven't seen those win rates that I'm talking about, that means you don't check out my YouTube channel. There is a great 15-minute Meta Monday video up there. Well, we're about to get savaged. Yikes. Highest win rate you've ever seen in a format. It's kind of a weird question that you can't really answer super objectively because there's a lot of variables that go around it and sample sizes and stuff. How do you have access to the data? All of these tournaments take place on MTG Melee, which is full, transparent, public data. And if you go watch the video, you'll save me from repeating myself here, where I explain in the video where the data come from and what to look at. I think we're pretty dead here, right? I see people talking about things like Cawblade when it comes to win rates, and I see people talking about things like Hagak. I would like to again remind people of the fact that you're ignorant to your history. So you're talking about the win rates of these decks, which is data that we didn't have at that time. So the fact that we have win rate matrices for things like the events this past weekend are only facilitated by the fact that MTG Melee is transparent and exposes full matchup sets to us from these tournaments. So in the era of Cawblade and these other things, sure, those decks were putting up lots of strong top 8 finishes, but we didn't actually have win rate matrices and data like that from those eras because we didn't have full data from Grand Prix. It's just not how it worked. So like, yeah, there were strong decks in those eras that ended up getting banned because of that. Wizards had data from Modo, but no one had data from Grand Prix because nobody was farming out all of the matchup data from a 1,200 person Grand Prix where most of the deck lists were handed in on paper. Like, the metrics literally just didn't exist. Andre Philip X, thanks for the follow. Welcome to the channel this morning. Green-White Company. God, Green-White Company is probably a huge beating for this deck. Can you link my YouTube video, actually, Slayer, instead of the data post directly to show my stuff? And honestly, someone was talking about Bloodchief's Thirst versus Heartless Act. Archon is a big reason to play Heartless Act instead. Like, Archon is a huge beating for our deck. Man, Dr. Peasy even makes a 1/1, so we get to attack with the Lovestruck Beast. It's just rude. I'm the bad man. Duh. Wow. Opponent didn't have any plays for 4 mana. That's pretty unlucky. Yep, and they're going to accompany in response here because if they hit Archon, they lock us out of playing another spell this turn. They did not hit Archon. I think I'm going to go ahead and just play Witherbloom Apprentice here. We get to, like, Witch into double spell next turn. We're in a really great spot. Can you sack indestructible creatures? You can. So, it's pretty good against us. Witherbloom still hurt them, right? Yeah. Oh, fuck. It's fine. It'll be okay. We still got our triggers. Green Engine is scary. Oh, Scavengling Ooze. Yikes. Yeah, it's good, Poopy Donut. It's a little bit obvious in a number of spots that Infinite came after BioShock. Is the second one in the series because there's some small quality of life things that Infinite does better, but the gameplay's reasonable, and the original and the story writing's good. I did say Scavengling. Infant's the third one. Yeah, technically. Okay. So I have to pay a mana. I have to pay a mana to steal their thing, chat, an extra mana. And they're taking one less damage from all of my things, chat. Tipping for Scavengling Ooze. Thanks for the bits. Your thoughts on a Braid over Scorching Dragonfire, what's probably used more in this metagame? I think a Braid's the better card in general. I also think your identification that in your deck with Prismari command, it's probably fine to play Scorching Dragonfire. Snip. Yikes. No, I think I want to use the Village Rites with Claim the Firstborn next turn. Feels like we're just gonna get buried here. Green-White Company doing what Green-White Company does. Yep, Eldraine's a heck of a set, chat. To be fair, the Protector Shield here is probably doing more to beat us than Great Henge is. We'd have killed them if this card hadn't been in play, right? We'd have killed them through this. Is our plan now jump them for days and deck them? Yeah, maybe. We don't have any main deck ways that kill shield, right? Someone check the cardboard live, but I believe it's actual 0. Our tokens deal 0 damage, chat. There's a shield in play. Yeah, they'll find like a spellbinder at some point and just end the game, right? Yeah, we're done here. Yeah, they have Rowanist that can keep things trample eventually. Some Braids and some Maelstrom Pulses here, post board. Cling's not very good. Fatal Push is fine. Probably just cut these discard spells. This is a matchup where we want to play to the board. Shrima Claim Fame, they don't really have much hard removal, and they have things that target our graveyard. We'll block with things on occasion, and it could be fine, but yeah, okay, I like that. Like this, I think. How do we lose that? They found removal for our 2 Drain Idiots, and then set up Great Henge plus Redain Shield to gain life and lock us out of attacking with token. Redain's backside is really good. Hand's really good. Excuse me. Redain is a god, not an angel, okay? Hey, thanks for the gift, Zach. Although, if watching too many seasons of Supernatural has taught me anything, it's that angels are very similar in power level to demigods like Redain. Alright, don't Skyclave Apparition me. God bless. Request wish granted, I guess. You ever done Minecraft or Pokemon in your variety slot? We did some Pokemon VGC for a little bit. It's just VGC is a hard game to play casually because there's so much going on. I plan to do some Pokemon Go. I like Pokemon Go's PvP system a lot. But they rotate out which leagues they have in their game. So they actually don't currently have the 1500 point league that I play in up. So when they rotate that one back in, I'm going to do a variety slot doing that. Nah, I'm not really into games like Pokemon Snap or Minecraft. Those are kind of outside the genre of variety things that I enjoy. Any thoughts to tap for mana to play Witherbloom? Well, then they'd get their elf back. If I cast Witherbloom, I don't have a black mana to cast Village Rites. Feels magic, man. Oh, you Village Rites and hope to hit a land? Okay, yeah, that's a thought. I bricked, so it worked out. But yeah, you're right. I could float Village Rites and hope to draw Black Stars. Yeah, that's a good observation / thought. Yeah, we're super dead. Now, I don't really enjoy the Nuzlocke type stuff. Listen, chat, if you haven't seen my variety stuff before, it's all story-driven, fully voice-acted stuff. And random turn-based stuff for the most part, like, I get that out of my card games. I want the video games that I play to feel like movies for the most part, where I'm an interactive part of them. Is Pogo playable without driving around now? Well, I mean, the weather's nice, so I walk around, but yeah, they increased the rate that thing... Pogo actually had a really good adaptation to COVID. So they increased the amount of spawns in different places, so you don't have to go as far. And they make your Pokemon buddy bring you gifts that you can send back and forth with other people without having to go to Pokemon stops. And they give you free daily quests without making you go to a stop. So yeah, they're changes that they made with the pandemic were all really good. Claim the Firstborn. Hey, thanks for the tip. Please add Team of Rockers to the cube. Sounds good, Isumai. That'll be up Friday morning. I'm booked for tomorrow's stream already, and then Thursday I'm off for my vaccine. Yeah, I watched like the first 2 episodes of Shadow and Bone on Netflix, and I stopped. It just wasn't just like meh. It was very meh. I started WandaVision on Disney Plus last night. That's been very reasonable. All right, so we're gonna attack for 4. I think I'm Heartless Acting to take 2 tokens off of this. And then I'm Village Ritesing my Young Pyromancer token. Sir Moopy, thanks for the follow. Good morning. D2K Dragon, thanks for the 13 months. Our Witherbloom Apprentices here probably put us in a position to race here, right? That definitely puts us in a position to race. Big Angry Hobo, thanks for the prime. There's a ton of great people who can send that to every single month. Thanks for sending it this way this month. Did I miss lethal here? I miss lethal, right? If I would have played this. No, I don't think so, because I would have had to sacrifice this token. No, I would have had to sacrifice the token, chat. Because I didn't have these. Wait, no, I would have had this token. Yeah, I could have sacked this token to put a counter on this to deal. I did miss. I had one of these summoning sick tokens already. That's fine. We're at 14. Is an actual Doomblade in this format? Does Heartless Act? Yeah, non-black is more restricted than no counters. I think Doomblade's worse than Heartless Act on average. You asked me to rank the removal spells in this format that black has. I don't think Doomblade makes like the top 3 or 4. Yeah, there were probably a couple of ways to end up at lethal there. I don't think actual factual Doomblade is very good in this format. Go for the throat would be super playable. Non-artifact is pretty good. Baleful Mastery is way down the list. No, I disagree. I think Baleful Mastery is probably 3 or 4. I would definitely put Baleful Mastery above Doomblade. I think this is, again, just another matchup where I want to play to the board as much as possible. If I keep their threats off the table, they have a hard time keeping up. Yeah, it's actually probably a good suggestion. I'm gonna add that to my top 5 list. Top 5 pieces of black removal. I'm gonna be posting another top 5 video on Thursday because I won't be live. My plan is to do post those videos on days when I'm not otherwise live. Yeah, I'd probably put Cast Down above Doomblade too. Yeah, top 5 Doomblades. Honestly, it could be top 5 Doomblades without Doomblade on the list. I think Plum is a bad win more card in this archetype. If you're in a situation where Plum is really good for you, you're probably already winning, which means it's win more by definition. Andy Equinox, thanks for the follow. Good morning, good morning. What is Plum? Plum the Forbidden? It's a spell that like lets you sacrifice a bunch of creatures and you draw a card and your opponent loses a life or something. Or you draw a card and lose a life for everything you sacrificed, yeah. But like in order for that card to be really good in this deck, you like have to have a bunch of Magecraft creatures in play and a bunch of tokens. And if you have a bunch of Magecraft creatures and tokens, you should probably be winning the game anyways. I mean, chat is a big fan of winning more, you're not wrong. Yeah, the green-white match that we played is kind of not an average case scenario. Yeah, but like, then you're playing, if it's a lot better for running something like Bastion, sure. So then you're playing a bad card to make your other card that's not good better. Is like pretty, like, you're far from the only person to do stuff like that, but like that's what you're suggesting there. You're saying that like this bad card makes this other bad card playable. And like, sure, you're not wrong, but also like you just shouldn't play more bad cards. Seeing again here a common theme in this format, which is that, you know, we talked about how does this compare to red-black, how does this compare to green-black. Splashing a third color in Historic is not free. You give up consistency to play 3 colors in this format. Sure, I'm just telling you why that suggestion's not worthwhile, or why it's still not good. You're generating a discussion, Foxhall. You talked about what it could take to make something good, and I told you why I think that's still not worth trying. Alright, I think with this draw, we probably want... I was gonna say, maybe I don't want to play this into a shock, but with Claim, I think that's actually fine. That they just murder this. I can bring it back. Something's gonna die to shock at some point. Alright, and then we get to have a very good turn here. We get to go claim this, writes this. Man, if they don't have a removal spell here, that still scores pretty good. I mean, to be fair, all these 1 and 2 mana spells, that's a legacy thing more than modern. But yeah, this format's sweet. This format's got a huge range of different playable archetypes. Everything from these cheap cantrip focused decks to other things, like going bigger and more impressive. Yo. I think I want to hold back my other 2 things for now. This card having haste is so gross. Great. The games we get to really play Magic, it felt good. Abundant Harvest versus Once Upon a Time? No, I don't think it's close. I think Abundant Harvest is a fine design, and I think Once Upon a Time is a pretty toxic bad design. I think 7 mana Karn would be perfectly fine and fair for this format. In fact, it would be a really sweet card for the colorless ramp decks to have access to. I actually think that would be a sweet addition to this format. All things considered. Yeah, one plus one is 3 in historic. It's not 7. Well, shit. I need 3 cards to historic. The list of cards I like to add to historic is huge. In fact, my top 5 video series that I've been doing is going to include top 5 cards from each card type I'd like to see added from historic. So I'm going to do a planeswalker one, a creature one, artifact, enchantments, instant sorceries, etc. What's going on, Dr. Mister? Honestly, the best of one Magic is like a really good example of how different Magic is without sideboards, how important sideboards are to the game, in my opinion. Viana and Frippo, thanks for the follows. Welcome to the channel. Like, playing best of one is like, feels like a different game. It does not feel the same as best of 3 at all. As someone who doesn't play the format, is Arcanist relevant in Legacy? No, because it's banned. It's not relevant at all. It's not legal. Does Dak Faden, Run in 6, or Jace the Mind Sculptor make that list? I don't know. You're gonna have to wait and watch and find out. Didn't the opponent's deck die? No, the opponent's archetype has put up fine results. So what happened in this format is something that's actually very good for the format, and that the opponent's archetype isn't unplayable. It's just no longer the indisputable best deck, which means people that still really like playing it are able to play it and do well with it. But if you don't like playing it, you are able to not play it and not be embarrassed by not playing it. So the people still playing Sacrifice are those that just like playing Sacrifice or don't have wild cards for anything else. That being said, this deck probably puts our mid-range deck in a dumpster in the ground, so probably dead here, I imagine. Cold Vault is super scary. Yeah, another one of those. Yeah, someone asked if I do lands as a cycle. I don't know that I'd name individual lands, but maybe like sets of lands I would like to see. I could see doing that. Because like naming top 5 lands, it would just be the original fast lands. They're great. And we race a Corvold. They don't have a lot to sacrifice to it at the moment. Think I'm cling to dusting here. I think I'm drawing a card. Might be wrong. Might be better to game 3 there. I don't know. There's a good chance we can't race regardless, right? Do I have lethal with Sedgemoor Witch? Yeah, is Menace lethal? So these two put them to 10 off of the Apprentice. And then the Sedgemoor Witch hits for 7. And then they take 3 more. So I have lethal if they didn't have food to gain life with. But they do unfortunately have food to gain life with. So I think we're just dead on the backswing. Because of Daddy Corvold in the air and then being able to sacrifice things. Yeah, I could Village Rites a token and hope to draw something, I suppose. But if I hit a Claim the Firstborn... This definitely isn't lethal. I guess I could hit like another gain 3 too. I could hit another Cling to Dust. Yeah, this Cling should have definitely gained 3 instead of drawing a card. Oh, right. Mayhem Devil's symmetrical for whatever reason. Because why not? Yeah, looks like we bricked off right. If I would have hit Claim, we would have done 3, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It would have been 1 short, even if I drew Claim. And then we're just dead to Ovens and Foods and Mayhem Devils and stuff here on the backswing. Yeah, I really hope the more I play with and against the Tainted Pact deck, Hamlin, the more I kind of hope that they decide to take that out of the format. It's pretty toxic. Devil is a War of the Spark card. Is this a discard matchup? I feel like I could go either way on that. Now, I think they should definitely ban Thassa's Oracle. Thassa's Oracle never serves... Thassa's Oracle basically only ever serves to do degenerate things. It's fine. It's fine as a land. And any other land in our deck lets us cast this. Yeah, it should. Laboratory Maniac is a fair version of that effect, for sure. I think I just take this to slow them down. Do I? Nah, I'm gonna play this since we drew the land. Ring Around the Theros, thanks for the follow. They like Mayhem Devil here, we can do this to Mayhem Devil. I suppose the downside here is they could play Oven, and then my Claim no longer takes their thing. So I want to use my mana this turn. The question is, do I want to do this or do I want to Wellspring? I think I want to do this because it propels me into more cards. Oh, definitely non-land now. Meow. Okay. I think I'm gonna do this turn, because this lets me set up for Sedgemoor plus Castle to get a token off of this the turn I play it. Decent pickup, so now instead of guaranteeing a token, we'll just play a second must-answer threat. Like, hopefully can't kill both of these, famous last words. They didn't do anything with their mana last other than draw their companion, so we could see, like, removal spell here and be sad. Well, Siege Rhino is already coming to Historic. Again, for people that are new to Historic and don't understand what's happening with Arena, all cards that are Pioneer legal will eventually be Historic legal. So when I talk about cards I would like to see added to Historic, I explicitly talk about cards that aren't in Pioneer, because those are cards that aren't coming via Pioneer editions. Can you favorite basic land arts on Arena? No, we don't get quality of life improvements on this application. Those aren't allowed. Yeah, I think we take the binding, right? Because we can Heartless Act their Dorko. I was about to say, what's the opposite of a quality of life improvement? We get whatever the sideboard interface is on Magic Arena. Quality of degradation, punishments, quality of punishments, sadness of life. I feel like the fact that they haven't more aggressively put older basics on this platform is a huge miss on their part. Like, it's such easy cosmetic money. They should literally just, like, upload every basic land art from every set and, like, sell them for $1 or $2 in the store. Just, like, rotate through them. I play white bordered lands if I could. In some decks, probably. Got me. Speaking of basics, I was cleaning through some stuff in my closet. I should probably sell these at some point. I just have like a giant stack of unhinged basics. Is this unhinged? Is that what these are? These are unhinged, right? I forget what set these are from. They're from one of the unsets. I got like 40 or 50 of these things. Various typings. Oh look, I looked up and we died. So, I don't really think the sacrifice matchup is... I don't really think the sacrifice matchup is a matchup that you can fix for a deck like what we're playing. In fact, I'm pretty sure that a big part of why these kind of mid-range decks are playable in this format now, generally speaking, is because the sacrifice decks have fallen off. If you're someone that followed Historic pre-Strixhaven, you'll know that we talked a lot about how Claim the Firstborn and the Cat Oven bouncing in and out kept a lot of things from being playable in this format. And one of the best things about Strixhaven releasing, in my opinion, was the fact that it pushed those decks out of the format. I think those archetypes, while they're not unplayable now, are a lot less popular than they once were, which gives these small creature mid-range decks a lot more room to breathe in Historic. It does mean when you still run into the sack deck on occasion, you feel bad, but you're reasonable against a lot of other things. Alright, we're getting a rematch against Green-White Company here, huh? Think I'm taking their Skyclave? Does a sack deck fall prey to? The combo decks like Tainted Pack and Mizzix Mastery, the spell-based combo decks that don't play to the board, are very good against the Jund Food decks. I know you're using a 1+ phone. Which version are you on and do you like it? My house has a 1+5, a 1+6, a 1+7, and I have a 1+8T. So my wife has the 7 and my kids have our old 5 and 6. See, I'm a fan of their products. This stream is in no way sponsored or endorsed by OnePlus, but OnePlus, if you're out there, it certainly could be. Let's talk. Having to cantrip to find our land here feels kind of bad because I can't play Witchy Poo this turn. Why do I like OnePlus? They're just like reasonable hardware for the price point. Some amount of brand loyalty at this point. I guess one of the selling points on OnePlus is they usually roll out Android operating system updates faster than a lot of the other major phone developers and carriers, which is nice. So if you're a nerd that cares about the latest features, they're usually pretty close to having those for you. Drunk Owl, thanks for the 19 months. Welcome back. And Bulletproof Pope, thanks for the 47 months. Yeah, there's that Redain again. Was I supposed to take this from them? Maybe I messed up by not taking it. It feels like we're gonna get a position to like lose to this again, huh? Nick John Q. Thanks for the 7 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. And they get to drop Great Henge here now. Like, we can't race with the tokens because of this. And the Great Henge gains the life. Opponent could have paid one less for this if they would have done it post-combat. Need to eat our copy of Fame here, unfortunately. It definitely feels like playing this deck and the deck we played before it today have been good lessons in the you probably shouldn't be playing interactive decks, you should be running people down. I think this is another matchup in a row where our interaction not lining up into what the opponent's doing has been very detrimental for us. We're just like locked out and dead here. Let's get some Maelstrom Pulses and some Breeds in our deck here. And like, honestly, this is part of like, you know, Arcanist is one of the payoffs that we're getting for being into red here, but Arcanist discourages us from playing copies of cards like Abrade and Maelstrom Pulse in our main deck because we're trying to optimize the number of things that this can flash back. So, gonna again board out the discard spells here, board in more cards that play to the board. Well, I am playing copies of Kroxa, Neil. I'd appreciate it if you look at the deck list before making suggestions. You can always find that by typing exclamation point deck in chat. A braid over Heartless Act could be fine. Well, what are you cutting for Kroxas in the main? We're already taxing our graveyard with Claim Fame and with Dreadhorde Arcanist, and I'm not playing cards like Stitcher's Supplier to fill the graveyard up at a turbo rate. And honestly, Kroxa in the main deck doesn't seem like a card that would actively solve any of the problems that I'm having. Yeah, I've been kind of whelmed by Arcanist so far today, if I'm being honest. The token makers have felt good. But Arcanist has been kind of whatever. And this is something we've talked about before too in this format. The graveyard is a very contested zone in Historic right now. You know, we see that, like, you know, our opponent plooping Scavenging Ooze down and then us feeling very bad about Scavenging Ooze making our deck sad, right? That's something that we've seen a few times so far today. We're, like, dipping into the graveyard a little bit and then they play a hate card for it and we just end up being sad. The ramp downside on Trophy is really bad. I think Maelstrom Pulse in general tends to be better than Assassin's Trophy. If you're looking for that kind of catch-all style effect, hitting multiple copies is big upside in addition to not giving them a land. This format will like Abrupt Decay when that card's legal. Yeah, there's just so many good 2 and 3 mana spells. Like we played Mardu Arcanist is a deck that's up on my website that I like a good bit. And that build is sweet because it plays both Light Scribe and Silverquill Command to give Arcanist more attack power, which is really good. We're almost 3 weeks post-release now, right? It was the 15th? Yeah, coming up on 3 weeks, 2.5. Oh, this card is such a beating. Oh, it's such an incredible beating, chat. Ugh. Modern Horizons 2 is not coming to Historic, technically. But if Wizards of the Coast is smart, they will give us a Historic anthology that includes some of the sweeter Modern Horizons 2 cards in it. Tiny Mantastic, thanks for the follow. We played Teamer Planeswalkers yesterday, and it was really good. Oh, thank God. Oh, thank God. Oh, it was the last one. The deck was making us sweat there. It was generating some television for us. But we've unlocked our hand here real quick. God bless us, everyone. All right, I would like to murder this one. All right, so now, like, the scary part here still is, like, my opponent has 4 spells in hand. So, like, the game's not over yet. They've been missing land drops, so we know all of these are spells, so hopefully we can deal with that with whatever these are. Fingers crossed our opponent's about to have a bad company. 0 targets for Claim Fame. Yikes. Could die here. Could just, like, get double Spellbinder or, like, Spellbinder Redain into put a 1/1 counter on something. Survey says I'm not dead yet. No whammy. No 1/1. No whammy. No 1/1. Yep. Don't do it. Don't do it. Yep. Technically not a 1/1. At any cost, chat. At any cost. Ow. Ow, I believe we've died. Yep. This one felt pretty blah. Yeah, I felt like leaning on the graveyard felt a little bit bad. The inconsistency from the mana wasn't super exciting. The green-white company deck in general is just such a huge beating for these decks that are looking to play things like Abundant Harvest and Cling to Dust. Like, yeah, I feel like I'd rather play, as far as like Sedgemoor Witch Pyromancer decks go, I feel like what this was doing was probably less powerful than the Mardu Arcanist build that we had played a bit of. Again, the fact that like this build is able to use Silverquill Command and Light Scribe to make Arcanist bigger felt really good. We've got other like similar ideas here. This build also gets to play something like Lightning Helix in the main deck as a way to interact with things like Archon, which feels really good. Yeah, this build's also more aggressive on the back of having things like reach and this giving things flying. And again, yeah, Light Scribe lets you get through board stalls to make things like Radain Shield be less punishing. So I think I greatly prefer this build. Talking about mana too, hiding back here behind my picture, this build gets Savvy Triome as well, so like having better mana is a big upside to playing, and two fast lands too, right? So not only do you get a Triome, but you get 2 fast lands, so your mana is just a lot more consistent in a build like this versus the Jund. Yeah, the Green-White Company deck is one of the 5 or 6 decks up on the Proven section of my website. It's consistently posted good tournament results even before Strixhaven, and since Strixhaven has released and pushed the format in a slightly more spell-based direction, the Green-White Company deck is very good. If you're looking for a consistent, powerful, good deck, I think that's a very good choice.